Hello, 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 and welcome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you are on the planet. My name is Anthony Carter. I'm the host, producer, creative genius, and madman behind a movement entitled That Plant Life, a movement dedicated to supporting Black men 40 to 60 who are committed to combating hypertension without the use of medication and the addition of a whole food plant based lifestyle. Let me say that one more time for the cheap seats in the back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the planet. My name is Anthony Carter. I'm the host, producer, creative genius, and madman behind a movement entitled That Plant Life, a movement dedicated to supporting Black men 40 to 60 who are committed to combating hypertension without the use of medication and the addition of a whole food plant based lifestyle. Welcome. Come on in. Let's get settled and get started. Now, the title of my talk today, which is very near and dear to my heart, is Hypertension Strikes 59% of Black Men. Let's talk solutions. Once again, the title Hypertension Strikes 59% of Black Men. Let's talk solutions. I want to put this in perspective for you. 59% is very high, right? That is a huge number. That's almost 60%. I'm willing to bet that those numbers are probably off, right? Because people are not reporting, they're not self reporting. They don't know what it is. They're wandering around sick, and then we don't go to the doctor. We, many times, we as in Black men don't take care of ourselves from a physical standpoint, so we wait till we fall out before we actually get to the doctor, right? We go to the doctor when it's an emergency or something hurts. So I'm willing to bet that 59% is probably low. But let's say it's 59%, which is almost 60. Let's say the numbers are accurate, right? And I got this from a study. Um, if it's 60%, that means 6 out of 10 Black men have some kind of interaction. They're on medication or they've been diagnosed with hypertension. That's way too high. That means if you have 100 of us in a room, 60 of us would be dealing with hypertension in some form or fashion. Way too high, right? Now, that is an issue that's close to my heart because I've dealt with it, right? And I want to talk about solutions. Actually, I want to talk about one solution, the big overarching solution that has worked for me. So the big overarching solution for me is a term that I have been struggling with. It's been in my head for about 3 weeks. And I kept saying I want to talk about it. And how do I do this? And how do I bring it up? I'm just putting it out there now. So the term is faith moves. Faith, first word, second word moves. MOV as in Victor, ES. Faith moves. What do I mean by that? This is what I mean. Many times we have to make a faith move, right? We have to make a choice and move on something or take some action with no evidence that it's going to work because we haven't seen it work. We don't know anybody else who's done it, but we truly believe it is time to do something different and to do things in a different way, right? Last week or the week before, I talked about the movie Harriet and Harriet Tubman and how just got this vision to free her people, right? To lead people to freedom. And in my opinion, many times we get all these kinds of visions and things that we should be doing, right? And we get scared to do them. However, when you are battling a health issue like I was, you have to have more concern with being healthy than being afraid, right? I had to use what I call, what I've termed, what I've been downloaded as faith moves. What does that look like? Okay, so when I had moves, I had to figure out, okay, I went to the doctor. The doctor told me she never used the term hypertension. She never mentioned how I can get not have to put on medication. She never mentioned any other plan other than just take this prescription, take these pills. You're Black, you're 50 plus, and you're male. That's it. And I thought, my God, we've got to do better than this. We got to have something better than this. So when I started, my whole movement started to fight to get off the pills. It wasn't for any grand meaning, any grand scale, right? It was all about her pissing me off. And then everybody that I talked to pissed me off about the fact that, oh yeah, that's just what it is. You're Black. And I remember had to remind people that's probably not going to change. You're 52. Okay, well, that's not going to change. I want to see 53, so that's not going to change. What can I do given a set of circumstances? So faith moves. I had to figure out something else. I had to come up with something that in my opinion and in my history and with the people that I knew had not been done as of yet. Faith moves, right? I said, we got to do this a different way. I'm not going out like this. Do not want to be a statistic. What can I do to change it, right? Now, luckily, I have some wonderful Black women in my life, my sister, my mom, and the wonderful Lisa A. Smith, who basically said, oh, okay, if you want to handle this, this is what you can do, right? You can adopt this whole food plant-based diet. So I went in and I went hard, right? I did what I think they call now a detox. It was 12 weeks. So I was already doing the no meat, no dairy, and I thought I was doing pretty good, but I was still kind of fluffy because I was still eating junk, right? I did this detox. It was not only no meat, no dairy, no seafood, but it was also no salt, no oil, no sugar for 12 weeks. I was willing to do it because I was more willing to do that than I was to be a statistic. So I did that for 12 weeks, right? This was in um, 22, right before COVID. As if you know, that's when I started this journey, right? This leg of the journey. So now it did not happen overnight. I started in February, March of uh, 22 and kept going. And it took me up until last year, October of 23, before I could officially be off the medication. So there was about a year and a half, I would say almost maybe 2 years. It was an ongoing process because there were some things that I didn't realize. Once again, hey Lewis, once again going back to faith moves. Okay, what are the faith moves that I have to do? It wasn't just getting off the, the junk, right? It wasn't just kale and black bean. There was some other things I had to do. One of the first faith moves I had to execute, I started having conversations with family members and friends about some things that I did not like and some things that were no longer going to go on, right? Why was that a faith move? It was a faith move because here I am talking to people that are my elders that are older than me, and I had to trust that I was no longer a kid, and they were going to hear what I had to say. Period. Right? Faith move. I didn't know how that was going to go. How that was going to go. I didn't know how that was going to land. But I had to take the faith move. Right? So I took it. I did it. Next thing, I was in a job I needed to get out of. A job that was, in many ways, was not good for me. That was causing a lot of I would say a lot of toxicity, yeah, toxicity in my body and what was going on with me. I had to walk away from the job. Why was that a faith move? Here, this is why it was a faith move. Here I was, 50 plus, leaving a job with benefits. And you know how we are about jobs and benefits. I walked away from this job with no grand plan other than I'm getting up out of here, right? Now, it was a faith move because I didn't have my little escape fund on the side or freedom fund on the side. I didn't have a big plan like, okay, I'm going to plan for 6 months, then I'm going to take the leap. When it was time to go, it was time to go. And I didn't have a job lined up. Now, luckily for me, I wasn't in dire financial straits. I had some money saved up. My household was okay. The people in my household were okay, and it was still scary, right? But it was a faith move. I had to trust it. Okay, it's time to do something different. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about Harriet Tubman in the movie Harriet, right? And how many times she moved on faith, right? She moved on faith to free her people. She moved on faith to lead people to all kinds of freedom. That is a faith move. That's the ultimate faith move, right? I have done the same thing, not in that aspect, but saving my own life, right? And reaching out to other Black men to help them save theirs and get away from hypertension. Faith move, right? Now, it took me, like I said, a year and a half, about 2 years to get off the medication. And as of next month, October 24th, so October of 23 is when I fully got off. It'll be a solid year. And I had to do a lot of things between the time I made the decision, the time I started eating differently, and the time I changed my life and got rid of some stressors. Not managing stressors, but getting rid of some things. Okay. So that is what I did. And to me, that is the solution for moving through um, and letting go and getting out of this hypertension, right? So once again, hypertension strikes 59% of Black men. Think about that for a minute. That's a lot of folks walking around sick. So I'm going to wrap up here. My suggestion is take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones. The ones that love you, let them take care of you. Be good to yourself. Get some plants on that plate, and most importantly, eat like you got some sense. Before I get out of here, the last thing I want to let you know is I am doing free consultations. So if you want to reach out to me, feel free. There's a link that I've added here. You can go right to my Calendly link and set up a time. I see people on Thursdays and Fridays. I would love to talk to people or talk to men about eliminating, combating hypertension so that they can have the full, luscious, joyful lives they deserve and that we want, right? You cannot do anything when you are sick, right? My goal is that 100,000 of us are in such stellar health, we can do all the things that we've put off for a long time, right? We can go after these big dreams. We can write the book we want to write. We can start the companies we want to write. We can start podcasting if we want to do that. We can have better relationships. All of that hinges upon our health, right? So please, please, please take care of your health. Join me. Be one of the 100,000 men who wants to get healthy and change the planet. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. My name is Anthony Carter. I am the host, producer, creative genius, and mad behind That Plant Life, a movement committed, dedicated to Black men 40 to 60 who are committed to combating hypertension without the use of medication and the addition of a whole food, plant based lifestyle. Let me say that once again for the cheap seats in the back. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're on the planet. My name is Anthony Carter. I'm the host, producer, creative genius, and madman behind That Plant Life, a movement dedicated to supporting Black men 40 to 60 who are committed to combating hypertension without the use of medication and the addition of a whole food, plant based life. Now, I'll talk to you soon. Be good to yourself. Bye now.